All right, let's take a look at the limitation to emotional health. This is a new thing that we're doing, emotional health. We're starting to move more into how emotions affect our way of being healthy, looking a little bit deeper into the mental health aspect to really gain perspective on emotional health. This is a relatively new thing, I'd say maybe really happening in the last 5 years or so. And we are essentially, what I'd say is using old arrows to aim for new targets. We're using our mental, psychological perspective to bridge the gap between mental health and emotional health. Seems like a pretty straightforward thing to do. We'll just merge these things. We do talk about emotional health in psychology. We're really trying to heal those wounds, if you will. And in that way, we are doing our best for emotional health. However, this is quite different than what we need now, or we can say the version of emotional health that needs to meet today's crisis is completely different quality than that mental emotional model. We'd say that mental model was in the 20th century really built and refined, which is far from now. That's the truth. We cannot take an old solution and apply it to a new situation because it is in fact a very different kind of situation. So we would not be able to use in seeing the outcome that we're looking for way the old model of emotional health from the mental perspective. Now, this industry is booming. Wellness is coming up to be a really popular thing now. Again, this is an older model of health, and we're trying to use it to meet today's crisis. And so the closest thing we have, other than the mental health, is the wellness thing, which is kind of a way of living life that increases health. Now, it's good to understand about wellness that it is telling you what to do, not how to do it, which is a pretty challenging situation to be in, especially in this day and age where we're really looking for how to do it. And we'd have to say that, again, many of our thoughts are linked to our scientific way of proving things, but again, this emotional thing is new to science. We're not very great at finding the scientific exactitude of emotion and its purpose and how it works and links with the brain anyway. So again, we're really forcing this pioneering spirit into the emotional health without having anybody guiding the ship. This is going to lead to a lot of frustration. And we'd say, if I'm wrong, that all the efforts that we've done to help with emotional health from the standpoint of wellness and from the standpoint of mental health would have been showing a lot of results today because they're not kind of this day. But we'd still say the problems arose even though these things were existing. We can say, well, people weren't aware of this mental health style thing 5 years ago. Not quite true. Are we seeing the results of not being able to appropriately adapt to this mental health thing now? Absolutely. I say this only to give context to the challenge at hand. I do love wellness and I do love mental health. I think they're very powerful things, but we have to use the right tool for the right job, and they are just not the right tools for this kind of job. So what would we use for emotional health? We'd have to use something a lot larger than the mental health thing. There is no current model of emotional health that works as a gray blanket statement, I guess, to all people. So it's not a protocol that we can put into place and therefore happen, which is probably why we haven't done it already. We do have to use a very different measuring stick to help people with emotional health. And this is going to be, if I would say something, a combination of all the mental, physical, emotional information we currently have. We're going to have to put those together in a way of making something completely different than what we're doing now. Different in our way of thinking about it. It might have similar moving parts, but we will not utilize them with the same functions. So we will have to try something quite novel, which makes sense because this is a new style of crisis. I shouldn't say new style crisis, that's slightly misleading, as it is a accumulation of not meeting crises previous to now that have built up so much pressure that is being released in emotional health fashion. And therefore, we're going to have to use the highest part of ourselves, which is our emotional system, to deal with the backlog of emotional, physical, mental style stuff now dealing with in present day. How do we do this? Again, is a self-care model thing. I'm not really going to get into that in this video because it's not really a part of this video, but it is going to have to have a perspective of self-care, meaning understanding self to then do right actions to care and heal certain things within us. Therefore, giving us experiences that are nourishing and restorative is the key here. We have everything that we need already. However, we now have to rebalance all those mistakes we made in the past. We have to kind of equal those out so that we can start from a more experienced place, but also kind of a new beginning, if you will. Thank you very much for listening. This is Noah Miller, self-care expert, and we talked a little bit today about the mental health and wellness approach to emotional health challenges and how we might need a little bit more in there to get to the goal that we are really searching for. Thank you.